Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about what I call Pokemon Go's Big 3. These are 3 Pokemon that if you have them in your collection, you're going to get ahead in just about every aspect of Pokemon Go. And I really do think that these 3 Pokemon should be your highest priority. Whenever you see them in raid battles, you need to go after them, and getting yourself 100% IVs of these 3 Pokemon is going to open up so much content in Pokemon Go. When it comes to raid battles, Team Go Rocket battles, as well as gym battles, these are the 3 Pokemon you will want to use when you're attacking other Pokemon. Now, interestingly enough, all 3 of these Pokemon were introduced through a Pokemon Go Fest. So if you ever wondered whether or not it is valuable to actually play during a Pokemon Go Fest, well, I really hope this video is evidence for you because these 3 Pokemon are game changers. They're definitely going to be the most powerful Pokemon you will ever obtain. Right, so with that said, let's jump into the first of the big 3, and it is going to be Mega Rayquaza. If you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you would know that I give all the praises for this one Pokemon, and it's mainly because of just how powerful it can be. When it comes to certain raid bosses, it is going to be the absolute top tier, and on top of that, it is considered one of the best generalists as well. So even if you do not have super effective damage against the raid boss, you could still use Mega Rayquaza to dish out an insane amount of damage. This Pokemon also has a lot of other benefits outside of just combat. It does give you a Mega Evolution bonus, and on top of that, it also gives you boosted candy for any dragon types and flying types that you come across. That is absolutely important when it comes to farming up certain dragon types. Considering that dragon type Pokemon are incredibly rare when it comes to Pokemon Go, this Mega Evolution will definitely help you farm up those candies when it comes to dragon types. Like for spotlight hours and community days that feature a dragon type Pokemon, you will definitely want to use a Mega Rayquaza and have it active so that you can collect extra candies and you could power up your Pokemon and evolve them with a lot less effort. Yeah, this Pokemon is all around really good, and I really do think you need to use it in raid battles, and if you still do not have yourself a 100% IV Rayquaza, then you need to get one as soon as possible. And whenever Niantic offers up meteorites, you need to use those on your best Rayquaza so that you could use a Mega Rayquaza as often as you can. Alright, next let's move on to the second Pokemon in the big 3, and this is going to be Shadow Mewtwo. Now, just like with Mega Rayquaza, this is another Pokemon that I always sing the praises for in my YouTube channel, and the reason for that is because, well, it is not only the most iconic Shadow Pokemon in the game, but it is also the absolute most powerful. Just like with Mega Rayquaza, this Pokemon can be an absolute beast when it comes to general raid damage, and on top of that, it has so many different ways you can use it to counter a lot of different Pokemon. It has a very versatile moveset with a lot of different options for whatever situation you're in, and in most cases, it's going to be a top counter, even if it doesn't have the same type attack bonus. That's something really key when it comes to Shadow Mewtwo. It is incredibly versatile, and on top of that, all of the stats and the amount of damage that it can deal makes it an absolute top tier Pokemon. Now, getting a Shadow Mewtwo is of course incredibly difficult, and some players may argue that it is better to purify a Shadow Mewtwo in order to get a 100% IV. And the reason for that is because in the future, we're going to be getting Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y. And to that, I understand that getting a 100% IV would be more beneficial, but I really do think that what you should actually aim for is having both a high IV Shadow Mewtwo along with a high IV Purified Mewtwo so that you could have both in the raid party. Having a Shadow Mewtwo and a Mega Mewtwo will definitely make you an absolute monster when it comes to raid battles. So yeah, in my opinion, never purify a really good Shadow Mewtwo. It's going to be much more beneficial as a Shadow Pokemon, and in the future, you should just aim for a second Mewtwo with 100% IVs for that Mega Evolution. Don't ever purify a Shadow Mewtwo, you'll definitely regret it. And then finally, let's talk about the third Pokemon in the big 3, and this is going to be a very recent addition to Pokemon Go, and it is going to be Dawnwing's Necrozma. Now, between the 2 different fusions of Necrozma, I would say that Dawnwings is going to be a lot more useful, and the reason for that is because it is going to be comparable to Mega Gengar in terms of raid damage, and there's going to be more instances where you're going to need that ghost type raid damage. So I will say that both of these Pokemon, Dawnwings as well as Duskmane Necrozma, are comparable to each other, but between the two, I will say that Dawnwings is going to be a lot more beneficial for you in your account. Now, another thing you need to note is that when it comes to PvP battles, it is going to be top tier within the Master League, whereas Duskmane Necrozma is going to be more of a middle tier Pokemon. If you want a really good Pokemon that's going to be good for both raid battles as well as the Master League, Dawnwings Necrozma is your one Pokemon that you need to invest into. Now, don't get me wrong, Duskmane Necrozma is still an absolute monster, and it has a lot of the similar benefits as a Dawnwings Necrozma, but it's more of a one-trick pony. It's going to be specifically for Steel-type raid damage as well as PvP, and I feel like there's still some comparable options to Duskmane Necrozma. Like, you could have a whole bunch of Metagrosses, like Shadow Metagrosses, and it's also going to be just as effective as a Duskmane Necrozma, but there's not that many ghost types that will even come close to a Dawnwings Necrozma, and because of that, I would make the argument that Dawnwings Necrozma is just a little bit more useful compared to Duskmane Necrozma. I know there's going to be players who will disagree with me, but in my opinion, I think this is a much better use for your fusion energy. So yeah, these big three Pokemon are definitely going to excel your account if you have them in your collection. Of course, there are some stipulations between these three Pokemon. Shadow Mewtwo, for example, is one of those Pokemon that's going to require an insane amount of resources to max out, and on top of that, it's not necessarily going to be that useful in a variety of different situations. And then of course, Mega Rayquaza requires Mega Energy, so it's not going to be a permanent Pokemon in your collection. It's going to require additional resources and a bit of an upkeep, but your goal should be to max out on Mega Rayquaza energy so that if you ever need it, you will be able to Mega Evolve it as much as you want. And then finally, with Dawnwings Necrozma, much like Shadow Mewtwo, it's going to require an insane amount of work and an insane amount of resources to get yourself one that's maxed out. But I would say that it is worth it. I use both Dawnwings Necrozma and Duskmane Necrozma, and having both of these Pokemon fully maxed out has done amazing things for my account and my progress in Pokemon Go. So yeah, these are the three Pokemon you need to invest into, and I totally recognize that there is just a plethora of super powerful Pokemon that would be in the big three for other players. There's Pokemon like Zekrom and Reshiram, they're super powerful Pokemon. There's of course Dialga and Palkia, those are also really powerful Pokemon, but in my opinion, I think these are the three Pokemon that are going to be miles ahead of every single other Pokemon that's in the game. And of course, in the future, things could definitely change. Like I mentioned earlier, Mega Mewtwo is definitely in the line to replace Shadow Mewtwo as part of the big three. But I also feel like when it comes to Mega Rayquaza as well as Dawnwings Necrozma, those are going to be staples in the game for the near foreseeable future. I do not predict that they're ever going to get replaced. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Now, let me know your thoughts regarding these big three Pokemon down below. Do you completely disagree with me and you feel like there's other Pokemon that deserves to be in the big three? Definitely share what those Pokemon are, and yeah, let's have an amazing discussion in the comments. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be insightful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Content Slow channel, the absolute best way you could do so is by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So just like every single person that you see on the bottom of your screen, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a very different way, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.